All right, let's open this up with a thought exercise to help you put the 49ers win over the Cardinals in perspective. Imagine if Arizona played that game yesterday against the 49ers without Kyler Murray, without Trey McBride, their star tight end, without Marvin Harrison Jr., without Michael Wilson, their number 2 receiver, without their best pass rusher, Josh Sweat, without their best safety, Buda Baker. Just imagine if Arizona had to play the 49ers without those 6 players. How would it go for the Cardinals? I think they'd probably get blown out. The 49ers, that was the injury equivalent of what the 49ers were dealing with on the Arizona side. The 49ers were obviously down to their QB2. No Brock Purdy. They're down Brandon Ayuk. They're down George Kittle. San Francisco's version of Trey McBride. I would say that he's better than Trey McBride. They were down Nick Bosa. We're anxiously awaiting news on today's MRI from Nick Bosa. They're down Malik Mustafa, was one of their best defensive players last year. The 49ers down a ton of defensive talent. And I think it's fair to say that every other team in the NFC West with that injury equivalent would be absolutely cooked at 0-3 right now at the 49ers level of injuries. But the 49ers are 3-0. Hopefully that thought exercise helps you put things into a little bit of perspective. Here's the article up on the San Francisco Standard written yesterday from the 49ers locker room. And, I guess I could start when I'm walking down to the locker room. You leave the little media area upstairs at Levi's, and the coaches are on the same level, the coaches who are up in the box. And those guys, there was such joy on those guys' faces. Still remember Jake Lynch, that's John's son, who's on the 49ers staff this year. Looks a lot like John in the face, and he was just beaming. One of the many coaches beaming. They're yelling a bit. They're fired up because you just could sense how hard the team had to fight and how hard the coaching staff had to fight for this win. They had to pull out a lot of smoke and mirrors. They had to overcome the list of injuries that we've been talking about, not just this week, but over the course of the past couple months. And somehow, some way, the 49ers did get it done. We're about to talk about exactly how they did it. I mean, so many cool numbers. And, while we are on Bosa watch today, Bosa wait today, we might as well get to one of the guys who is going to have to step his game up big time for however long Nick Bosa is out, and that is Bryce Huff, and he was absolutely awesome yesterday. You guys know that I love giving you the chart of distance from the quarterback. Look at Huff yesterday. This is 2 straight weeks where he's been under 3.5 yards in average distance away from the QB. And I've got the wrong text title here. We're not talking about 49ers roster moves to the Cardinals matchup. We're talking about the 49ers win over the Cardinals. And this is Bryce Huff yesterday. Michael Williams, too, had a hell of a day pushing the pocket for San Francisco. But Huff was really good against the run as well. And he had to turn into a 3-down player. As soon as Bosa went out, and then especially when Michael Williams was out for a bit with the wrist injury, Michael would come back in the second half. Bryce Huff had to be out there every down. 49ers traded for him thinking he'd just be a 33% of the time pass rush specialist, but things changed over the course of this game, and Bryce was pressed into action, and Bryce absolutely delivered, and in multiple ways. He's pushing the pocket. He's using that get off, which is probably the best in the league to get to the quarterback. But he is also changing directions when he's rushing. I mean, he batted down one of those screen pass attempts in the first half. That was a key third down play when he realized that he wasn't going to get to Kyler Murray, and he had to be something else than just a chicken with his head cut off at defensive end. He had to be a disciplined pass rushing D end, and he slowed up. He got his hand up, and it takes a tremendous amount of hand-eye coordination to knock a ball away, especially as cleanly as he did. But Bryce Huff got the job done. I thought that he had several nice plays against the run, and the 49ers are going to be counting on this increase in snaps for Bryce Huff. with Nick Bosa likely sidelined for at least some bit of time. And they're going to hope for the best regarding Nick Bosa, but they need to brace for the worst because injury news for this team has generally not gone in their favor, as everybody knows. And the San Francisco team is in the midst of this gigantic evolution that is fascinating to watch and is being prodded along and spurred by all the adversity that they're facing, right? We talk about the injuries and the fact that last year they'd definitely be 0-3 with the hardship that has come their way this season. Well, this year they're 3-0 because they are reinventing themselves on the fly. They have the raw materials to be able to do that thanks to the fact that they just had dominant 2024 and 2025 draft showings. I mean, maybe that's the best big picture way to look at this. We can go just to the Pro Football Reference draft page, and we could look at the two classes from 2024 and 2025 and see who's already producing. Look, Ricky Pearsall. Okay, yes. Ricky yesterday, over 100 yards. He's on pace for 1,600 receiving yards this season. He's a better player than Marvin Harrison Jr. Ronaldo Green, yes, starting cornerback. Dominic Pooney, starting right guard for the 49ers. Malik Mustafa out, but one of the best safeties already as a rookie in football. Isaac Guerendo, unfortunately, he's not in that offensive rotation at the moment, but he is returning some kicks for the 49ers. It's the last three of this class that you haven't gotten that much from, although Tatum Bethune is performing for the 49ers on special teams. Jacob Cowing, currently on injured reserve. Jarrett Kingston didn't make the team in 2024, so he went elsewhere. 2025, Michael Williams, Alfred Collins, Upton Stout. I mean, Michael, Alfred Collins, Upton Stout, all factored into some game-saving plays for the 49ers yesterday. CJ West as well. Jordan Watkins hurt at the moment. Haven't seen Jordan James yet. Marquise Siegel is starting for this football team. Connor Colby is starting for this football team. Bethune is contributing on special teams, so you're getting something out of him. If you just want to count contributors, I've highlighted all the contributors here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And if you think that Bethune is somebody you don't want to give a contributor tag to just because it's only been special teams and Guerendo's not, then fine, 10. You have 10 plus contributors, at least 10 plus contributors out of the past two draft classes alone. We always preach patience when evaluating a draft class, but I think it's safe to say that the 2024 and the 2025 draft classes are on a solid track to be astounding hauls for San Francisco at a time when they really needed astounding hauls. And it wasn't just the NFL draft that the 49ers used for talent acquisition. It's also been the trade market. I mean, Christian McCaffrey, that was before 2024. That was one of the best trades the 49ers have ever made back in 2022, and it's paying off huge now. They have him this year. He has 77 touches. He leads the NFL. They might be decimated across the receiver room, but CMC is essentially playing wide out for San Francisco, and he's doing it at a very high level. But how about the guy that I was just talking about? The trades can be measured in so many different ways. But when it comes to Bryce Huff, the 49ers spent very little draft capital, were able to convince the Eagles to pay more than half of his salary, and are now getting, especially with Bosa out, the type of usage from Bryce Huff that Philadelphia dreamed of getting from Bryce Huff, albeit in a different system. The Eagles wanted him to be a three-down player. This part of it is icing on the cake for the 49ers. I don't think they expected Bryce Huff to be a three-down player. Now he's going to have to be one. And yesterday, when he was pressed into that kind of action, he absolutely delivered as one. I mean, again, 2 straight weeks of just staggering numbers for Bryce Huff when it comes to pressuring the quarterback, constricting that pocket. I don't think the 49ers are going to be a team that is winning a whole lot of jailbreak pass rushes here, at least over the course of the next month or two. Maybe some of these rookies, and we saw some really sweet moments yesterday. I've got a great picture for you guys here. I mean, this one turned into a pass rush where there's no offensive lineman anywhere close to the quarterback and only white jerseys close to the quarterback. But as you can see here, that's Mykel Williams dragging Kyler Murray down. That's Alfred Collins, second-round pick. And the initial pressure on the play came from this guy, C.J. West. This is the 49ers' rookie defensive line class, nearly bringing a safety to the scoreboard. The reason why it wasn't a safety is because you can see here the football is across the goal line. So even though Murray's body, both of his feet are in the end zone, the football's across the goal line when he commits the intentional grounding, which by rule means that it wasn't a safety. I know that a lot of people were up in arms by that, but the 49ers were on the unfortunate end of a couple safety calls yesterday. This was actually an okay call. The bad call was the Pooney Calais Campbell one because the hold started outside the end zone and the officials didn't recognize that. But anyway, to me, this was symbolically beautiful because here you have first round pick, second round pick, fourth round pick. The 49ers' first 5 picks of the 2025 NFL draft were all spent on defensive players. And 3 of those 5 picks came on defensive linemen. At a massive moment in this game, those defensive linemen broke through and delivered this. And even though it wasn't ruled a safety, the 49ers would get the ball back on the next play because Arizona had a punt, and that set up the go-ahead touchdown drive. Now, this is why it was the right decision for the 49ers to go on fourth down when they didn't make it. I don't think their play calling was great, but you go for it because you could back Arizona up in a worst-case scenario. Even if you don't make it, Arizona is going to be backed up against their own goal line. You're actually trusting your defense in a big way, especially with the new touchback rules. Take the ball way far out to the 35-yard line. So the 49ers went for it. McCaffrey got lit up by Matt Collins. Didn't work out. Arizona got the ball deep in their own territory. This happened. The 3 rookies delivered, force a punt. San Francisco then turns around. Ricky Pearsall helmet catch and Kyle Juszczyk touchdown off of play action. You know what I noticed in that first red zone sequence that didn't work out for the 49ers, they ran the ball 3 straight times. Not a lot of inventiveness. Arizona was ready for it. They were selling out against the run all game. And then the 49ers finally threw on fourth down when it was a must-throw situation because they were a little too far from the goal line, and the Cardinals were sitting on that as well. When Kyle Shanahan got back in the red zone following the big Murray intentional grounding, he adapted his plan. There was a run early, but then on second down, he went play fake. And the play fake was essentially ripe for the taking there because they had run into that brick wall over and over again their time before in the red zone. This time you fake and Kyle Juszczyk leaks out and you find him wide open because Budda Baker just got lost in the run action over the middle. So they got it right the second time. They took the lead. I know that it was way more complicated than that. I know that the 49ers defense had a breakdown and Arizona tied the game shortly thereafter. Took them only about 2 minutes. And then the 49ers actually fell behind in the final 5 minutes with the safety that I was talking about with Calais Campbell and Dominic Pooney. And then it took some real heroics. Upton Stout, Mac Jones, Kendrick Bourne, Pearsall, Sky Moore made a catch. And then McCaffrey, of course, with the screen pass. Awesome call for Kyle Shanahan. I mean, there's so much to break down, and I have so many thoughts about how the 49ers are operating differently than 2024. But then Eddie Pinheiro hit that game winner and celebrated in the direction of Arizona's sideline. By the way, Eddie left us with one of the best quotes of the afternoon. And you should absolutely check out the article up on the San Francisco Standard. So I went into the locker room, and I already told you about this yesterday, but there's more to tell you now. I'll tell you the lead, which I shared with you in our locker room intel video yesterday. The vibe in there reminds me a lot of 2019 in that it's much younger than it has been in recent years. And then you've got some veteran pillars. Like in 2019, they had Emmanuel Sanders, obviously. They had Richard Sherman was in there. But what they were doing is shepherding along a lot of these really promising young players. Kendrick Bourne is a familiar face when you're talking about 2019 because he was one of the young guys. He was 24 back then. Kendrick is now 30. Back in 2019, Ricky Pearsall was fresh out of high school. He was 19 years old. Now, Ricky is in his mid-20s, and he's a star. And I walk in there, and Kendrick is just going crazy. He's got his leather jacket on. He's got his sunglasses on. He's just pointing over at Ricky Pearsall. And he's like, he's him. He's him. Just going nuts. Like the same energy that Kendrick had when he was 24 in some of those crazy locker rooms after the 49ers would win some of the games they probably shouldn't have won, including a game against Arizona in 2019. Kendrick Bourne had that same type of energy. He couldn't bring himself to leave because he just wanted to hang out with his teammates. He wanted to shower some praise onto Ricky Pearsall. And, this just they didn't win in consecutive weeks last year. The only time they won consecutive games, they were split by a bye week last season. They never won 3 times in a row last year. They never got on a roll in 2024. And we know that winning is something that fosters energy, and then energy fosters winning. It's a symbiotic relationship. They never had that energy in 2024. Now, you can manufacture a little bit of that energy before you start winning by making the roster younger, but you still have to be good because it's not going to last if you don't put up those wins while you're developing. And they've done that over the course of the first 3 weeks. They found a way to win, which is so important to the ecosystem of a team. Now, we talk about energy. It is happening in all facets of the game. Kendrick Bourne on offense with the dancing with Ricky Pearsall. I mean, I have it here somewhere. Yeah. Let's watch this. This is from, I believe, NBC Sports Bay Area. We can play this. This is right at the beginning of warm-ups. They've got their handshake already, Kendrick and Ricky Pearsall. You knew they'd have a handshake at some point, but they have a very, very choreographed and energetic one in there from the get-go immediately. Okay, so that's great. That's one thing that the 49ers have, offensive energy. Defensive energy, of course, they've got it because they're so much younger and faster than they were last year. But it's not only on the player front defensively for San Francisco. They also have a true swagger in the coaching booth that they didn't last year with Robert Saleh now aboard. And Deommodore Lenoir was talking about it right here. The energy is second to none, Lenoir said of Saleh. The man has too much aura. He's a blessing to have. You saw yesterday just how well-timed some of those 49ers blitzes were. And not all of them hit. Not all blitzes are going to hit in the NFL. But in crunch time, Robert Saleh has consistently dialed up the right calls. And it is a polar opposite of what we saw over the past 2 years. Like, it was always the wrong calls at crunch time with Steve Wilkes and with Nick Sorensen. I still remember the zero blitz call against the Vikings in Monday Night Football 2023 that left Kyle Shanahan livid because Jordan Addison scored that touchdown before the end of the half. I mean, that was the kind of stuff that was happening in 2023. Then they weren't blitzing at all in 2024. I mean, now by necessity, especially after Bosa went down, 49ers realize, hey, we have to pass rush in a different way. It can't just be a jailbreak pass rush. It's going to have to be a pocket constrictor because they don't have the skill level that they did a few years ago across that line, especially when Bosa is removed from the equation. So they've got to push the pocket on opposing quarterbacks. And they have to bring extra pressure. And it's not easy to bring extra pressure in this league because offensive coordinators and professional quarterbacks can usually diagnose how to beat it. You've got fewer men in coverage on the back end. But Saleh has crafted a pressure plan that has been unique to all 3 of these games so far. And yesterday, he capitalized on the fact that Kyler Murray is short. And I'm talking about the penultimate third down where he brings the predator, right? 6'4", Fred Warner, one of the tallest linebackers you'll ever see. He brings him right into Kyler Murray's line of vision. I think that people get a little spoiled by video games and they just like hit the blitz button and two guys blitz and it's a little simple on a video game. In real life, it isn't that simple. If Fred Warner is blitzing just 3 feet to the left or right of where he blitzed, if his blitzing angle is a little bit different, he's not in Kyler Murray's passing lane. Murray can see around him. Murray can throw around him. That third down is complete. 49ers lose the game. But because the 49ers have studied every single nook and cranny of Arizona's offense, because Robert Saleh, such an intelligent defensive coordinator, is ready for, I think, so much more than he was ready for a few years ago when he was with the 49ers, because he's coached both sides of the football now. He's been the head coach of the Jets. He's got these guys coming in the right lane at the right time. Warner was right in the line of sight for Kyler Murray and his read. And with that blitz coming in hot, that football's not going to the second or the third read. You gamble on the first read, and Warner gets his hands up. Murray can't see over him. Murray can't throw over him. Ball's knocked away. Huge, huge play. Then you go to the play with Upton Stout. And I talked about this. I wonder if we have a picture of Upton here in the article on the San Francisco Standard. This, by the way, is in the description. We got Mac Jones. We've got Kendrick Bourne. We've got the dance with Bourne and Pearsall. Kalia Davis had some flash plays for the 49ers yesterday. McCaffrey on pace for over 1,200 receiving yards. I don't think we have Upton Stout, but we can talk about the vision. A player with the highest bench press total of any DB at the combine, right? If you shake Upton Stout's hand, you're like, this guy is damn strong. I mean, the grip strength is out of this world for Upton Stout. And he's only 5'8". So you don't immediately look at him and say, okay, I expect that to be a really strong corner if you're just watching on TV. But if you stand next to him, he is wide as hell. Like, I mean, this guy, broad shoulders. Like I said, 21 bench press reps. No DB had more at the combine. Strong as an ox. And that goes down to the grip strength, which is so important for a corner, important for any defender, because this is it's a ball skill kind of league, right? And then he's got the mentality of just never giving up that he combines with the physical strength. So Zay Jones gets open, and this is the play that literally decides the football game. Zay Jones is open. He beats Upton Stout. This is where you have to combine resilience, which the 49ers showed as a team, but Stout embodied individually on this play, and that actual physical strength. Sometimes it's not just about how much you want it, but it's about how strong you actually are. Stout didn't give up on the play. Stout caught up to Zay Jones. It still looked like Zay was about to catch the ball. He was bringing it down, and Upton Stout was able to get those very, very strong arms in there and rip that football out. I think that most defensive backs in the league would not have been strong enough to make that particular play. But Stout, he's only a rookie, a young rookie. He is one of the strongest DBs in the NFL. There you could see Arizona's gloomy sideline behind Upton Stout. This was one of the many defensive plays of the game. I mean, it's one of those where you can go through about 5 different plays, and if one of those hadn't broken in the 49ers' direction, they would have lost this game. But they made all 5 of the plays that they needed to make it crunch time, and that's a theme that goes back through the first 2 weeks of this season. So Mike has a great picture from the broadcast here that I think that we can put up on the screen. Let's go with this one. There's Upton Stout knocking that ball away. So as you can see, Jones was coming to the ground. It was really hard to see on TV from some of the angles, but I did catch one. By the way, earthquake this morning. Who woke up at 2:57 a.m.? I woke up at 2:57. There was a 4.6 earthquake in Berkeley, so just across the bay. I'm in San Francisco right now. The house was shaking here, and I was just like, well, I'm awake now. You know, earthquake jars you a little bit, especially if you were in your REM cycle, and it gets you up out of it. And I said, I'm just going to watch tape. And so I watched the game back twice in the middle of the night, just getting ready to talk to you today. And I saw one time, I saw an angle that I liked, and I should have screenshotted it at the time, of Upton Stout, getting that arm around Zay Jones and just ripping. Just it was like a punch and a rip. Just dislodge the football, but by any means necessary. And he did. And you can go to this screen grab right here. You can see that ball flying out. Fantastic play from Upton Stout, the 49ers defensive back out of Western Kentucky. Thank you to Dominic. Love that. I appreciate it. That helps with these expensive cups of coffee in San Francisco. And expensive cups of coffee help you when there's an earthquake in San Francisco, like there was last night. And you can't sleep. And you wake up and you start watching tape at 3 a.m. And then you're on at 9 a.m. talking 49ers football. So we got the box score here. There's a lot more to go through as we talk about all these things. But first, we got to hear from our sponsor for today's show. We want to thank them, Harry's. You guys ever had problems with razors? You know, you go and you get Gillette or something like that, but the refills just cost so much. And it just starts to feel like a ripoff after some time. Well, Harry's has your problem fixed. Each razor has a weighted ergonomic handle that gives you total control, so no more slipping or awkward angles. It feels premium in your hand, balanced for a smoother, steadier shave. Harry's doesn't just make razors. They've got a full line of grooming essentials, from shave gel to deodorant to body wash, all thoughtfully made and priced to stock up. All of Harry's blades and grooming products can be delivered right to your door. Set your preferred schedule and never run out of blades again. That's very nice. I think I need to shave a little bit right now, but I might be out of blades. I need to get Harry's to send me some. For a limited time, our listeners can get a Harry's trial set for only $8 plus a free gift. Harrys.com/Lombardi. Just head over to harrys.com/Lombardi to receive an exclusive discount. $8. I know that's way, way cheaper than what I see in the aisle over at Walgreens. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Tell them that David Lombardi sent you. How about that as a day after the 49ers win kind of gift? Harry's, $8 and a free gift. Go check them out. So I've got the box score here. And, you know, this is one of those games where we can go through numbers, but I don't think the numbers will ever tell the story of grit in a full way. Now, the one that sticks out most to me is that Arizona at one point had nearly 20 minutes of possession, and the 49ers had 2 minutes of possession on a warm day. And when the task is going to be to chase Kyler Murray around over the course of an entire second half, hot fourth quarter, it's not a good start for the 49ers. I mean, that in and of itself, even if they had a fully stocked roster, if they had gotten off to that start possession-wise, they were facing an uphill battle. I yesterday talked about Jonathan Gannon and his decision to punt toward the end of the first half from his own 37 on 4th and 1. I understand that he didn't have much of a short yardage running game. There wasn't a lot of faith from Jonathan Gannon in his offense at all yesterday, but I thought that the Cardinals had a chance to take the 49ers out with just over 2 minutes to play in the half. You convert that first down, you had a yard to go, you have 20 more plays than the 49ers at that point. Your possession advantage is like over 15 minutes. They could have just throttled San Francisco into exhaustion, but they didn't. They punted, and credit to San Francisco. They took the ball. They scored a field goal before halftime and really stabilized the game, allowed them to play that second half on a fair platform that they didn't have in the first. So it didn't start the way that the 49ers wanted it to. They didn't have the personnel that they certainly would like to have. That's going to get better this week. Brock Purdy should be back. DeMarcus Robinson will be back for the 49ers. So things are going to turn up, at least on the offensive side, in their favor. And hopefully for them, they're not going to be committing 3-and-outs and penalties offensively early in the game that put them right behind the 8-ball. But that's where the 49ers were. They were behind the 8-ball yesterday, yet they still somehow found their way to victory bliss. There you go. Trent Williams and Christian McCaffrey. They did the co-press conference yesterday. It's Christian with his new brand, While on Earth. I'm trying to get them to send me some shoes. I gotta try out some of the While on Earth shoes. I guess they have t-shirts. They got some sneakers. We'll let you know how they are once I get a hold of what Christian McCaffrey is selling. Anyway, this was after the game, and Christian, as I said, he's on pace for 463 touches this year. His 77 touches lead the NFL. A lot of people are just really blindly saying, well, he needs to have fewer touches without putting anything in the context. Guys, again, maybe it's easier if I illustrate this in terms of the other team, but if Arizona was down Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson, Kyler Murray, Greg Dortch, they are now down James Conner, who unfortunately suffered the season-ending injury yesterday. If Arizona was down 4 to 5 of their primary offensive weapons, and all they had left was Christian McCaffrey, if he was on their team, their Christian McCaffrey would get a lot of touches. Like, sorry, that it's not ideal, but this is the NFL. You've got to win. You don't just say, okay, I think we're going to lose this game. I think we're going to go to the suboptimal read. Tell Mac Jones to throw to a guy who's not open just so you could preserve Christian McCaffrey on a particular play. You throw to who's open, and Christian McCaffrey gets open consistently. I mean, he has turned into a bona fide wide receiver for San Francisco. It's unbelievable what we're seeing. He can get open against linebackers. He can get open at safeties. We saw him get open against a cornerback in New Orleans on a key 3rd and long. So the guy, it's a future Hall of Famer doing future Hall of Famer type of stuff on the field. Would they like to take the load off of Christian McCaffrey? Absolutely. Is that going to probably start to happen this week? I think so. Demarcus Robinson's return should really help. If Jawan Jennings returns, that should really help. A couple weeks from now in Tampa, George Kittle's return should really help. Maybe Brandon Ayuk comes back week 6 as well. That's the kind of stuff that could space out the field to the point where Christian McCaffrey's running a little bit more credible decoy work instead of having to get the ball all the time. But right now, the 49ers just have to scrap and claw and find a way to make it work with what they have. And, you know, the best guy that they have is right there. It's Christian McCaffrey. So Mac Jones thought has done a tremendous job. One of the biggest upgrades from 2024 has been QB2. They went 0-2 with Brock Purdy on the bench last year. They're 2-0 with Brock Purdy on the bench this season. And it comes back down to the upgrade that they have at that backup spot. Now, Mac is tough. He was playing with the hurt knee, the ripped jersey at the end. He's got a good chemistry with Ricky Pearsall. And I know they tried to force feed him once, and it didn't pay off in the 4th quarter, but obviously he bounced back from that. And if you'll notice that final drive on which they won the game, he was going to other guys because Arizona made sure that Ricky Pearsall wasn't going to beat them on that final drive. Kendrick Bourne had to have 2 catches. You had to go farther down the list to Sky Moore. The 49ers number 5 eligible basically on the wide receiver chart. Jake Tonjes, the tight end, caught a handful of passes in this game yesterday. So Mac is doing a good job spreading the ball around. He obviously doesn't have the mobility that Brock Purdy has. And yesterday they faced a veteran pass rush. Dominic Pooney was telling me in the locker room that Calais Campbell was calling out some of the plays. And not because the 49ers are telegraphing stuff or he's stealing their signals. This is year 18 for Calais Campbell. And he just has insane recognition. Like he'll step up there. Another thing, the 49ers cannot be expected to be doing a whole lot of diversifying of snap counts with Mac Jones, the backup quarterback. He's already got a lot on his plate. When the starter is in there, a lot of intricacies that I think help throw pass rushes off really are on the table, and then they fly off the table when the backup is in there. So I think Brock might adjust some cadence, might adjust the timing of things. When Mac is in there, you can't really expect that to be a thing. Maybe Mac did some of it yesterday. I'll have to check with him. I'm right now I'm just speculating, but it did seem to me that Calais Campbell on the safety play had the snap count figured out, had his pass rush angle figured out, had the 49ers play figured out before the snap. And sometimes you just have to tip your cap and say, this guy's going to be in the Hall of Fame one day. He had a better rep than we did. And he's a great player, somehow doing this 2 decades into his NFL career. And he got the job done there. But then you give the 49ers credit for making the adjustments that they did on that final drive and moving the ball right downfield. Other side of the football, we talk about an important stat. How about this one? I spent all of last season and the vast majority of this offseason just butchering the 49ers run defense. They deserved it. They're terrible last year. Everything that San Francisco did over the course of this offseason on the defensive side of the ball was geared toward becoming better against the run. Every single draft pick, every single addition, minus Bryce Huff. I'll give you that. Bryce Huff was a pass rushing bookend. Ironically, I thought he was really good against the run yesterday. But this is the stat of all stats, and Brett Coleman does a great job. Last year, the 49ers allowed 1.5 yards before contact per rushing attempt, which was down near the bottom of the league. So sometimes their linebackers just got blown off the line of scrimmage. They weren't in good position. There was a free 1.5 yards for opposing rushers in 2024. That is down to 0.5, a full yard less this season. So they've gone from number 24 to number 4. And they are winning so much more often at the point of attack. Michael Williams has turned into a dominant force up front. It is an absolute joke that just 2 weeks ago, people were saying that he had a bad game against the Seattle Seahawks. Please immediately revoke any leftover credibility that anybody who suggested that Michael Williams played poorly in a road win at Seattle, where Seattle couldn't run the football, even though that's what they hang their hats on. Anybody who suggested that Michael Williams was playing poorly because they were looking at a box score and not tape, don't trust their football analysis. Because now this guy, he turned into an absolute monster with the arm length that he's bringing to the table. Did you guys see him shed 63 a couple times, one of the interior linemen for Arizona yesterday in that game? We can also go back to the pass rushing chart, and he's getting real push now. And, it's not about Michael Williams winning one-on-ones in jailbreak style. It's about pushing his blocker back into the lap of the quarterback. And in 2 of the 3 games, he's done that at high functioning above average level for the 49ers. But it's about the run and the way that he's stopping the run for San Francisco that is truly, truly impressive. And outside of the 29-yarder for Trey Benson, the Cardinals got nothing from their running backs on the ground, nothing. And then, of course, the signature moment for the rookies, for Michael Williams, CJ West, and Alfred Collins. The signature moment was when they went in there and they completely thrashed Kyler Murray near the goal line. Once that pass rush starts coming from the youngsters, that's when this 49ers defense can take things to the very next level. But big picture, they've given up 13 to Seattle, 21 to New Orleans, and 13 to Arizona because 2 points came on a safety for the Cardinals. So the 49ers defense has not allowed a lot of points so far this year. There have been breakdowns. There have been, certain times where they've gotten lucky. I think back to the first drive at New Orleans, but the defense is far exceeding any outside expectation from before this season. I was saying if they could just stay afloat over the first 6 games and be like the number 20 defense, they should be fine because this offense can carry them. The defense has been way better than number 20 this year. I could even tell you where they've been by EPA per play through the first few games. Let's take a look at this. We could even look at team tiers here. in a second. I'm actually really curious to see this. I haven't looked this up yet. I'm still kind of picking up the pieces after the big day. And I think that Ben Baldwin's site is also still picking up the pieces because nothing is loading on his site. So maybe we'll go to, well, I don't know if Aaron Schatz's site is updated yet. I know that Ben Baldwin likes to update his site within the first couple hours after these games, but maybe they're loading some of the new data right now. But the defense, long story short, they're playing at a top 10 level right now, right? And Kyle Juszczyk had one of the best quotes yesterday. This was up on the Standard as well. I had to include this one in the article. Again, the best way you could support is to go check out that article on the San Francisco Standard and hit that subscribe button. But Kyle said it right here, and I'll put it up a little bit bigger and I'll highlight it. This team is not what it's going to be yet. We're still trying to figure out who we are as well. It's been gritty. It's been grimy, but we have found ways to win. That is the most exciting thing for the 49ers as we cover this 2025 season. There is more moldable clay, more potential to build something great than there ever has been in the Shanahan era. I'm not saying this is going to be the best team in the Shanahan era, but the best teams like 2023 comes to mind. 2022 was really good as well. But the best teams, there was already a lot that was preset. The concrete had already dried. You had a ton of veterans. I mean, the reason they drafted a kicker in Moody in 2023 is because they didn't see any other spots to improve with the draft. You could argue against the logic there all you want, but what I'm saying is that that's what the roster looked like at the time. Things were really, really firmed up back in 2023. It's different now for the 49ers. Things aren't firmed up. The cement has not come close to drying for San Francisco. And because of that, we could talk about all these different possibilities and potential of how this team is going to grow over the course of this 2025 season. Let me use this to illustrate. X-axis is offense. Y-axis is defense. The 49ers are right in the upper right where we want to be. But they're not a tier 1 team yet, right? The offense has not been elite. The defense has not been elite. They've been good in both phases. But if this team is going to morph into a true Super Bowl contender, one or both of these units is going to still have to make surges forward. We're waiting on Nick Bosa injury news today. That obviously can be very, very damaging to the 49ers defense. But I think that we've also seen enough at this point to say, hey, these rookies aren't going to be the same players in a few weeks. That they're going to get even better, and their floor is already fairly high. Robert Saleh is elite. I don't think that this defense is dropping under average this year. Now, if they have Bosa back at some point, I think that this defense can continue to climb. I think it could be a top 5 unit based on what we've seen so far. But right now, it's a borderline top 12 defense, right? 10 to 12. Let's put it that way. And if they could keep it that way, even without Bosa, great for the 49ers. We can discuss that in more detail later. Where this team can truly start to place itself amongst the elite is if the offense moves the logo for the 49ers this way to the right. If they go from here over in this direction. They have gotten to this spot, which is probably about number 10 in the league offensively, playing 2/3 of their games with their backup quarterback, without Brandon Ayuk, without George Kittle, without Demarcus Robinson, yesterday without Jawan Jennings. Those guys should come back. Purdy should be back this very next week. So will Robinson. Ayuk, Kittle, a little bit after those guys. So the question is, how good can this 49ers offense be once the pieces are back in place? And that, to me, when you talk about potential moldable clay, I'm looking at a team that's going to be offense first, elite, driven by an elite offense. Because if Pearsall's already on pace for 1,600 receiving yards and Christian McCaffrey's on pace for 1,200 receiving yards, and there's no one else, like Pearsall has caught most of his yardage with defenders very close to him. There's a crazy stat actually on NFL Next Gen Stats that I have for Ricky Pearsall. Let me get this one to you. I bookmarked this. All of the 8 passes that Ricky Pearsall caught came with 3 yards or separation or less from the nearest defender. He leads all receivers this season with 267 receiving yards that have come with a defender basically draped on him. Okay, so if Ricky Pearsall is on pace for a 1,600-yard receiving season with the closest draped separation on him of any big-time receiver in the NFL, where can Ricky take this once guys like Ayuk and Demarcus Robinson and George Kittle and Jawan Jennings are back to take some attention off of him? Like Brock and Mac are both having to zero in on Ricky Pearsall because he's the most effective receiver for the 49ers. They don't have other superstars other than Christian McCaffrey, but he's technically at a different position on the field. So Ricky's doing what Ricky's doing. Mac is doing what Mac is doing without these other weapons out there. Those other weapons are going to be back. So when those weapons come back, I think it's very logical to see the 49ers offense in this territory. I mean, the Colts, Baltimore, and Buffalo, those are the truly elite offenses so far in this league. We're going to see isn't it Detroit against Baltimore today? It should be a great Monday Night Football game. We're going to be live a lot today. A lot of content coming your way. So the goal for the 49ers offense is going to be to get into the ballpark of those teams on the very right offensively. And then, as you could see, the Vikings are playing the best defense in the league, but otherwise, it's a pretty big puddle of teams in a similar spot. And I don't think that the 49ers will necessarily fall off precipitously, even if Bosa does miss a lot of time, because of the Saleh effect, because of who they brought in rookie-wise, because of Bryce Huff. It will be a challenge for sure, but this is not 2024 anymore where the wheels completely fell off once Bosa suffered his injury. 49ers, I think, are a little bit better equipped to hold things together, and we're going to be paying very, very close attention to the news today. MRI for Nick Bosa. They have not ruled out ACL, and that's obviously going to be very, very closely watched. We got the 49ers locker room video. The 49ers posted this. I got to go for this one as well. You guys ready for some good content? This is courtesy of the 49ers.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Let's go!
I told you, Relly. What'd I tell you? It feels great to win, baby. It feels great to win.
3-0. Feel good.
That boy, Eddie. Let's go, man.
That boy, Eddie. That boy, Eddie. All right, guys, hey, bring it up. Guys, unbelievable job, man. The fortitude of you guys, the resilience, the character, whatever happened in that game, guys, you guys didn't panic. We got it done, man. I tell you, I told you guys last night, whoever ran the ball better win this game. That was awesome football. All right, when I look at that and I go down to the end of that game, all right, Mac, you battling through that. D, you guys gave us a chance to run away with it. Upton Stout, where are you, man?
Let's do it.
What y'all boys taught me the most, learn how to battle when it get hard. Don't put your head down, always keep your head up and just get ready for the next play. Let's get ready for next week and appreciate y'all.
Love you guys, hell of a win. Enjoy it tonight. We'll see you guys tomorrow, man.
Let's go, baby! Family on 3, 1, 2, 3.
That is from the 49ers. Good stuff from San Francisco's locker room. Eddie Pinheiro breaks it down. I mean, you want to talk about attitude? I don't think I got to this point yet when I was discussing my article. I talked about the attitude differences in each phase. So we talked about Bourne, Ricky Pearsall, all of that energy for the 49ers. Then we talked about defense and coaching and the energy that the 49ers have reinvigorated in that part of the game. Well, special teams could you ever imagine Jake Moody like celebrating, looking at the other bench? I mean, it takes a certain level of swag to do that, but that's exactly what Eddie Pinheiro did. And he said, I was really excited. I didn't want to lose to them at home. They're a divisional rival. We weren't going to let them come in and do that to us. And the kicker is the one that sent the message to end this football game. Just wow. The 49ers have some real mojo on all levels of the operation. All right, 50 minutes. That was what I was shooting for. Stay tuned now. Hit the notification bell. Nick Bosa news should be coming at some point today. I will be right on it when it does happen. But that is a look at how the 49ers beat the Cardinals. 2 straight dominant draft classes paying off for San Francisco. By far the deepest roster in the NFC West, maybe even the entire NFC. I mean, it's hard to imagine a team winning 3 games in a row anywhere in this league, really, with the injury equivalent of what the 49ers have seen. But they've gotten it done. That's what matters. Arrows pointing up for San Francisco moving forward. But today is a big day as we await news on Nick Bosa. Thanks for watching. We will talk to everybody very soon. Check out the article. It's up there.